All right, welcome back. Coming to you live from beautiful Toyota of Hollywood, and today is their last day for 2019. I know. It's January 2nd, 2020. We're not going crazy here, but they want to kind of roll it back to the last day of 2019 because they want you to take advantage of all the final 2019 incentives going on. Any of the 2019 models that are left, you can take advantage of. So please, come on down here to 1841 North State Road 7. We'll be out here till 3 o'clock. Would love to say hi to you. Okay, so come on by, man. They've got all kinds of deals. That Supra looks so beautiful right in front of us, man. You're going to love it. And I can tell you personally.
Yeah, you got to test drive it.
Yeah, oh, yes. Camry XSE, I love it, dude. I love it. It is amazing. Okay?
Dude, I finally got to see your car in the aqua bluish, what was it, Tuesday when we were at Caneswear. The sun shining right on it, the right angle. You know, it like your car morphs.
Right,
colors,
yes.
Depending on the light and stuff like that. It looks awesome, man.
I'm with you.
It is a good-looking car, man.
Yep, no doubt about it. 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, that's how you can reach out to us on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. You can always also reach out to us here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can send in your stuff. What do we have here? Big O prediction for the Pats versus the Titans. Could this be the end? Oh, please. Look, I would laugh my ass off if Ryan was the guy that was going to beat him, but I just can't believe that. Now, if Derrick Henry runs for 300 yards and they control the line of scrimmage, then I can see them winning, but I don't expect Ryan to beat them. I kind of expect him to look like a deer in headlights in certain moments and have key turnovers. That's kind of what I'm expecting in this game. Because Bills, confused him in the past. He'll confuse him again. But it would be funny if Tannehill is the guy that kills the Patriot dynasty. That would be awesome. The biggest mistake in Dolphin history was passing on Drew Brees. Take Tua. All right. When's the Miami Hurricanes segment? That was 2 days ago, sir. That's Tuesdays. That's when Manny Navarro joins us. But the beauty is you can't miss it because it's right there for you to podcast it. So you can podcast it. And by the way, it also got a ton of views now also on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. So appreciate all of you that are also going now to the YouTube channel. We love that. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay, the other ones are all talking. I see that the chat board now is not only being used to talk to me, but now apparently there is active chats in between all of you over there. So that's good. I like it. You're all getting no fighting, all right? No fighting on the chat board, no insulting, none of that crap, all right?
You're not feeling left out that they're engaging in.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
No, I like that.
I know.
I like that.
I'm messing with you,
I like
man.
that the listeners are kind of,
Oh, for sure. No, this is a
all
group,
about.
all of us, yes.
I like it.
Our sponsors,
I like
you
it.
guys, us. It's all, we're a team.
Yeah, man. I like it. Myron says, what's up, O? I say you stay with Fitzpatrick next year, draft Tua, see what happens in the season while Tua learns from Fitz and learns the ropes in the NFL and gets healthy. Because he's not going to be healthy. When the season rolls around, you're not going to want to put Tua out there because he's not going to be 100% yet at that point. So he's going to need, you're right, learn, watch, and then heal. Because I think in a perfect world, maybe he's healthy by the end of the season. You can keep him on the IR and then activate him late if you want. Or you just let him heal for the entire year and just play Fitz and Rosen and like what I would do. I would draft Jordan Love. I would draft Nate Stanley. I would draft Anthony Gordon. I would draft some kind of a project in the second and third rounds if I draft Tua.
A little,
I've already told you guys
a little
this.
safety net type.
Yeah, there's no way I'm drafting only Tua and then that's it, because I don't know how good I'm going to be next year. And so if you're, if you can win 5 games with no talent, this guy might win 8 or 9 next year, and then all of a sudden you're so deep into the draft and you won't have as many picks, depending on how much you trade out in this draft to acquire more, which I still think Chris will do some of that to kind of stay in play for a possible Trevor Lawrence the following season, which, it's very doubtful, but you always want to at least stay fluid into that situation.
You know what's another thing to think about, O? We're probably looking at least 4 or 5 new offensive linemen. That unit takes a while to get cohesiveness and gel. Yeah. So we're probably going to have kind of like not as bad as this offensive line, but you know what I mean? We're good. We're going to have some growing pains.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Amen 241 says, Big O, do not like the running back from Wisconsin for an every down back. Okay. All right. I got you. Not a Jonathan Taylor guy. 2,000 yards this year. Let's see. What else do we have here? I prefer watching you on YouTube. Should we be giving you thumbs up, or do you already have the data you need? What we can do to help? Well, you know what you can do to help is get as many people as possible to subscribe to YouTube. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's what we need for live coverage. It's better live coverage. And now when we hit the road, these are things that we're going to want, but we're not going to have access to right away. So these are things that if you want to help us, you guys are already doing more than enough in our downloads. Our downloads are amazingly through the roof.
Absolutely blowing us away.
We're on pace to close to 2 million downloads this year. Okay, so we're doing great on the downloads. We're loving life right now on the downloads. Okay, that is, I'm floored at everything going on with the downloads. Now it's building up the YouTube channel, which we just kickstarted it, I don't know, a little over a month ago. So we really need to get that thing going. So 1,000 subscribers is what we need to get to with a quickness. So if you can help us there, that's what you can do. Spread the word to friends and family members and tell people about the show too. Because a lot of people, I run into somebody every day. When I was at Caneswear, listen to this. I'm at Caneswear on Tuesday doing the show. And 2 listeners that were there buying stuff go, man, I miss you over on radio. Can't hear you every day. And I'm like, yeah, you can. And I told them about the podcast. And one of the guys says, but I live in South Carolina. I go, dude, you can listen to us and watch us anywhere in the world every single day. And we will have a listen live line for you. The website's up at Big O Radio Show. I got the 300Bs, folks. They are working feverishly to kind of create a listen live line. So whenever we're on, all you got to do is go to the website, click listen live, and that's it. You can just minimize it, and you'll be able to hear it on your smartphone, smart TV, smart car, whatever it is that you've got. Everything I have is smart except myself. It's really screwed up, by the way. Just terrible. I got a smartphone, I got a smart car, got a smart TV, but yet I'm not smart. Kind of makes me feel really dumb. Anyway, 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 for the accidentlawfirm.com text line. I asked this question previously while I get Highsmith wanting to help his former school, but why is James trying to make things hard instead of just admitting his mistake? Because, sir, once James admits his mistake, he also is now on fire, and the guy that could get fired with Manny Diaz. If Manny fails next year to turn the corner and kind of put away everything that went on this year, you know what happens, right? They will fire Manny, and they're going to fire James Blake. They are. I'm not wanting James Blake to be fired. I'm just telling you. It's probably what's going to happen. Because that's his hire. And that's why I tell you that the Alonzo Highsmith thing is a really silly move. And what it is an ultimate indictment that you've got the wrong coach. That's the problem. That's that. And then if you've got the wrong coach, then you fire him. And if you're going to fire the coach, well, then that means the AD made a terrible decision. Remember, Blake, while I thought it was the right thing to do, like a lot of people, we were all pumped up about Manny. He never did a coaching search. And I get it, Manny was already with Temple. You couldn't waste time. You had to bring him back right away because he had to get to the business of recruiting and building Temple up. He wasn't going to allow you to drag it on and then drag Temple through the dirt at the same time. He couldn't do that. Manny was probably telling him, hey, listen, if you want me, it's right now. I can't wait another week or 2 or 3. That's unfair to Temple, which is true. It's the classy thing to do. If you're going to leave, you leave him right away. You can't leave him hanging. And so Blake, it's his butt on the line right now because that's his hire. So that's why this crazy notion of Alonzo Highsmith came up, because Blake James is trying to save Manny's ass just like his. Okay? Because it's his butt on the line. So that's why this whole thing is a mess. Let's see. What else do we have here on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, that's 786-322-1105. Let's see what we have here. Fins to take a look at the Boise linebacker with the second first-round pick. Looks good for being a multifaceted player at many positions. Bill and Simi. Yes. You listen, there are going to be guys in this draft class that like that kid that is an outside backer, pass rusher type. And that's where you would take a guy like that. But they're going to have multiple guys that will have those options. Okay? So it's one of those deals where they could early on Isaiah Simmons, the kid from Clemson. That's another kid. But now that one won't be available for the second pick of the first round. That kid you will have to take with the first pick. You're number 5 overall. So it all depends. You can go later on in the draft, or you can go early with Isaiah Simmons. But there'll be those kind of guys out there that you'll be able to get. 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. If you want to get in on the program, that is the accidentlawfirm.com text line. Let's see what we have here on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. Big O, where do I find the hotel information for Vegas 2020? Well, it is already sold out for us. We have no more rooms. So we can't get you that stuff. You're on your own now for 2020 Vegas. You have to go find your own room. Get an Airbnb, maybe, if you don't want to get a hotel. A lot of people I'm hearing are getting Airbnbs, which you might be better off with an Airbnb. I'm just saying. You might get a better deal. You don't have to walk like 8 blocks to get to your car. You know what I mean? Or just to get to the what's it called? The checkout counter. You know, if something happens, I'm telling you, those walks are long in those Vegas hotels. So just maybe an Airbnb might be better for you. Big O, I wonder if the Gailey hiring will help attract a good O-line coach. He's been in the league for many years and knows a lot of great coaches. Cubano in North Carolina. Cubano, I think the success they had this year, winning 5 games with no talent, I think that sent ripples all throughout the NFL. It said, yo, Those guys in Miami might know what the hell they're doing. So I think you are onto something, not just the Chan Gailey thing, but I think overall the impression maybe of the Dolphins might be on the uprise now. So people might be willing to come here. Whereas, like, let's say Manny Diaz, it's going to be hard for him to get great coaches because he's on the hot seat when he comes back next year. And a coach is going to go, well, wait a minute, do I go there and I may only be there for a year and I have to upend? And remember, it's not just the money. These coaches are coming with families and children. And so what do you think? He's going to move in for a year, put the kids in a school, and then they fire Manny at the end of the year, and then they fire the entire staff, and you're back on the road again. And, yeah, you'll get another job, but now you moved your wife and your kids again into another school. And I don't know how many of you moved from a school to another school because you changed districts or states or whatever, but it's not an easy transition for a kid. When you go to a completely new school, there is a comfort zone of going to the same elementary every single day for 6 years and growing up with the same kids, and then going to this same middle school for a few years and growing up with the same kids, and high school and so on and so forth. Any child that's had to move around a couple of times and move from one year to another, that's torturous, man. That's tough on a kid. And if you're a parent, you're well aware of that. When my wife and I were married, or are married, actually, I'm sorry, not were, when my wife and I obviously were still married. But what I'm saying is when we got married and we had our child and we were moving, I told her, this is where I want to be. I want to make sure whatever house we move to, we're there for the duration of her schooling. I want her to be in the same neighborhood for elementary, middle school, and high school. You know, after high school, if we got to move somewhere, a bigger house, smaller house, whatever, I don't care. That's fine. But I don't want to move during school. And I say that because since I was a child of divorced parents, I ended up going to, what was it? It was from 5th grade to high school. I went to 3 different schools, okay, before I got to high school. And it was a pain in the ass. Now, I'm one of those guys that I can get along with people easily, and I'm really sociable, so I can make the adjustment pretty good. And I did, but a lot of kids aren't that way, okay? So for me, don't feel too sorry for me because it's a little bit of a transition. I was able to get through it. But I know a lot of kids have had issues with that. And it's not easy on them. And you don't know which kid is what. And that's why, at least for me as a parent, that was one thing that I was focused in on for my daughter. And not knowing whether my daughter was going to be social or not, or I don't know. Because we hadn't gotten to the point where she wasn't even in school at that point yet. You know what I mean? And so that's important to me. So you feel bad for coaches in that sense, that they've got to upend their families on a consistent basis. You don't think about that. Most media members don't think about that. But it's something that goes in their minds. It's not about, oh, well, yeah, I'm getting well paid. And, yeah, I get fired and I got to move again. And it's all right, I'm getting paid. There's more to it than just money, man. You got other people involved and you're changing their lives. And that's not cool either. You know what I mean? So that's why I tell you that I think Miami will have an easier time, the Dolphins, and especially Flores, in getting an assistant coach than Manny Diaz will. Manny will get an assistant coach, but he may not get the best possible coach because of the hairy situation that he has now created for himself. Okay? Because it's not really anything that's out of his control or anything that is above him that he is not happy with. No, it's more about him not performing at the level that he's supposed to perform as a head coach. 786-322-9228. 1105 if you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the show. Let's see what else we got. Yesterday, Oregon defeated Wisconsin 28-27. We talked a little bit about it. Justin Herbert doesn't convince me. That game did nothing to convince me. All it did was kind of solidify that that's just not the guy that I want for our beloved Miami Dolphins. Georgia defeated Baylor 26-14. Did you see the empty seats at the Sugar Bowl? Holy crap. Wow. A Georgia-Baylor game, and that thing had empty seats everywhere. Fromm, 20 of 30, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. He'll get drafted. Can't say he convinces me. George Pickens' kid can play. 12 catches, 175 yards, and a touchdown. Holy crap. Minnesota beat Auburn, 31-24. Hell of a way for the Gophers to – I mean, that Gopher season early on, we kind of thought maybe, is this a fluke? Right? You know, Minnesota, they'll face real competition and they'll lose, and they beat some really good teams along the way. And P.J. Fleck and his team proved that, hey, you know what? They're legit. They're pretty good. Now, I don't know if he's going to stay there long term because nobody really stays in Minnesota long term, but man, 11-2 for the Gophers. It's one hell of a season for them, man. Congratulations. And Alabama beats Mr. Khakis 35-16. So you get Mac Jones, you've got the backup quarterback. He throws for 327 yards, 3 touchdowns, an efficient 16 of 25, not incredible, but efficient enough. And Harbaugh, I mean, it's just one of those deals where it really is amazing how a guy can come in. You know, Manny kind of hyped himself up, did a lot of talking. And I hope Manny's really quiet this offseason. Really, really, really quiet. Okay? I hope he's so quiet, he takes away the smoke, the chains, and the rings. 3 things that his teams have not earned the right to enjoy. In fact, it's embarrassing that you're running through the smoke to lose to FIU. You're running through the smoke to struggle against Central Michigan. You're running through the smoke to lose to Duke. Come on. Come on. There's no turnover chains in those kind of games. So I think you need to put it away for a year or two and see if they can earn the right to do those things. In fact, let me tell you something. The players that are there at that university right now, they haven't even earned the right to wear that U on their helmets. They should have like all white helmets. That's it. With the stripes in the middle. That way you know it's the U. But the U, shouldn't even be allowed on their helmets. Okay? Anyway, so Manny hyped himself up. And he burned himself because of it, because he couldn't live up to his own hype. Harbaugh kind of did the same thing. Satellite camps, all these ESPN specials. They were going to, Paris and all these other places that they went to, or Rome, wherever the hell it was that they went. Right? Every year they were doing these things, and they got all this hype. And the dude has not lived up to any of the hype. And yesterday, you figure, okay, your team's pretty much healthy. Their team lost their best player, a super silky smooth quarterback out there, and you still can't compete against Alabama. Amazing. And like I said earlier, Shea Patterson, sorry, not the guy. I'm not believing in Shea Patterson. That is definitely not the guy. I got to tell you. Anyway, 786 322 1105 if you want to get in on the program. That's 786 322 1105 if you want to get in on the show. The other news and note was David Stern, the former commissioner of the NBA, passes away at the age of 77. Had a brain hemorrhage last week, or was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I think it was, or about 10 days ago. And obviously was in the hospital till yesterday and unfortunately passed away. And a guy that, I mean, basically built what you're seeing now in the NBA. The guy that had an incredible vision for a league that was littered with all kinds of bad news, guys that were all doped up, drugged up, a sport that their finals was on tape delay. And he figured out how to market it, how to market stars, how to make the NBA really sexy. And he started with Magic and Bird, who obviously turned this league around, period. You know, you can go David Stern, Magic, and Bird as maybe the three most important figures back in those days to really kickstart and turn the league around and make it what it is. Because David understood that Magic and Bird can be, you know, Ali Frazier. It's two heavyweights. It's the world picking sides. It's people into it because they're two great and, you know, charismatic players on the court and flashy and all of that. And greatness, too, on top of all of it. It's not that there was it was all show. It was a lot more than just show. So David Stern deserves, and listen, I don't need to shed any light on this. Many have already talked about this, I'm sure, since he passed away yesterday, and you heard it and saw it from people from Michael Jordan on down on what he meant to all of them, because the dude was a genius. And he figured out how to market the NBA and market it the right way where it just freaking took off. It's an amazing story of the NBA. It's an amazing man in David Stern. And he kind of walked that fine line too, right? Where he was the commissioner and at the same time he was the disciplinarian. And he didn't mess around. And even when it came to Michael Jordan, whether you want to call it a vacation or a suspension, you know, he even took action when it had to do with that, you know? 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105. And folks, don't you love a great rack? Because I know I love a great rack. Everybody loves a great rack. Like that gentleman there loves a great rack. That's why you got to go to Pallet Rack City and go out there and see Eddie Pereira. He does an awesome job. Look, your warehouse right now is looking like a mess. Boxes stacked on each other. They're looking like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Nothing's organized. It's hard to find things. It's hard to reach things. That's because you got to organize it. You got to rack it up. You want hot racks. You want great-looking racks. You want new or used racks? You call Pallet Rack City. 305-887-9212. Your one-stop shop for all your warehouse needs. They buy and sell new and used pallet racking. Largest used racking inventory in South Florida. Call Eddie Pereira right now. Get the hottest racks in South Florida. 305-887-9212 for Pallet Rack City.
This is the Big O Show.
Welcome back. Coming to you live, baby, from Toyota of Hollywood. We'll be out here till about 3 o'clock. If you want to get in on the accidentlawfirm.com text line, 786-322-1105. Plenty of ways to get in on the program. Lots of things that we've been talking about today on the show. At the top of the hour, Christian Capel is going to join us. He covers the University of Washington, and we've been doing our draft focus almost every day We've been giving you a writer that covers some of the quarterbacks coming into the draft. Last week, if you missed it, you can go back to the podcast. We did Tua. We did Joe Burrow. We did Jake Fromm. We've done, what was...
Hurt.
Oh, yeah, Jalen Hurts.
And the kid from Iowa.
Oh, and Nate Stanley. Those are the ones that we've done so far. Today will be Jacob Eason from Washington. Will be the guy that will be our focus today. And Capel, of course, covers Eason on a daily basis for The Athletic. So we'll have a little fun with him, and we'll talk about the quarterback. And he's one of those guys that's kind of intriguing. He's one of those project guys that you take in the second round. The thing is, Jacob Eason has first-round talent. Now, because of the inconsistencies and because he doesn't have a lot of football, he's another one of those guys that hasn't played a lot of football. That's probably why he'll drop a little bit in the draft, and he won't be taken really high up in the draft overall. So that's where, you know, when you look at this, that's where it becomes kind of interesting there. We've talked a little bit about Alonzo Highsmith. We talked about that earlier on the show and how that doesn't make any sense for Manny Diaz or even for Alonzo. The Heat are back in action tonight. They host the Raptors at the AAA. The Panthers are on the road to take on the Senators. I am reading here, it says members of Cowboys organization wonder whether Jason Garrett will be back. And that to me is one that's so interesting because it doesn't really matter in a way. As long as Jerry is meddling, as long as Jerry owns, he is going to undercut whoever the head coach is. So he's not going to hire a guy that's his own man and step aside. Jerry's not going to do that. Like I've told you before, Jerry enjoys the spotlight and the money more than really winning. May not want to admit that, but that's kind of what it is. You know? So it says, as the Cowboys continue to meet with Coach Jason Garrett 4 full days after his departure was presumed to be a done deal, other members of the organization are wondering whether the deal is, what the deal is. Ed Werder of ESPN reports that people inside the building have begun to wonder if Garrett is going to have a role with the Cowboys, whether as a head coach or in another capacity. We've spitballed the notion that the series of meetings is about something other than ending the relationship. Maybe it's as simple as owner Jerry Jones wanting to offer Garrett a plausible alternative that Garrett would potentially reject, allowing Jones to have a somewhat clearer conscience regarding the long-term relationship hitting the end of the road, or maybe Jones truly wants Garrett to remain with the team. I mean, what are you going to do, offer him some kind of a personnel job? Some kind of assistant general manager job now? If Garrett wants to be a coach, he'll go back to being a coach and somebody will hire him. I doubt they're going to hire him as a head coach. That I don't believe at all. I don't think anybody's going to give that guy a head coaching job because I just don't see it. It doesn't look to me like he's head coaching material as it is. Why would you put him there in that position? Right? I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. So it's funny how they want to talk about how what his future is with the organization. It certainly isn't with the Cowboys, man. But if it is, it's because Jerry can't think of another puppet he wants to hire. And if I'm Lincoln Riley, that's not the job I want. I don't want to have to deal with that guy. And I know that he's one of those guys they've talked about in that building. But it doesn't make any sense to me if I'm Lincoln to go there overall. Browns have strong interest in Urban Meyer, per current Urban Meyer colleague. So the Browns, well, okay, when you do get rid of John Dorsey, that kind of smells that you want to bring in somebody that's going to have a lot of control. And maybe they were talking, because the story is that they sat down with Dorsey and talked about a restructuring of the organization, including him, and that he wasn't willing to be a part of the way they were restructuring it. So maybe their idea is that they're going to bring in a coach that is going to have a lot of power. And Cleveland, last time I checked, is in Ohio. He does have still strong support in Ohio from people that were Buckeyes fans, right? He knows that school pretty well. He knows the recruiting over the last couple of years because he was recruiting a lot of the guys that are coming into the draft over, the next couple of years. So you think about it, maybe that's the case. And you got to blow out the GM, because the GM that you got there is a GM that is not he's a strong character guy. So he would mesh with Urban Meyer. I don't believe that the Urban Meyer thing would work. I think he's a college guy when it's all said and done. I really do. All right, let me take a quick break here. We'll come back on the other side. We're coming to you live from Toyota of Hollywood. Hey, today's the last day in their eyes for 2019, right? Open this mic up for Tony Stampone here a second before we go to the break here. Right, Tony, today?
What's going on, buddy?
Explain to the folks.
Explain to what happened?
Explain what happened here, that this is the last day for 2019.
Yeah, so what's happened is we've extended all the programs till midnight tonight. So all the programs that were in play towards the end of the year are in play right now. So if you're right there, you're on the fence, you're still thinking, should I, would I? We're at the wire. So if you're going to get a car, this is time to come in here. And the other thing on top of that is we've hit all our numbers. So right now we're just moving iron. We're taking every single deal. So you want a car deal, this is time to do it.
What a shocker. You hit your numbers.
Yeah.
There's like 800 people walking in and 800 cars driving out every day.
Yeah. We're pretty good at hitting our numbers.
Yes. Well, you know what helps? I just got a car. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I just got a Camry XSE. But the beauty was when I go to that ginormous parking lot of yours back there that's like 10 floors, you had them like in 4,000 colors and 4,000 styles.
Yeah.
So like when you go pick a Corolla or you pick a Camry or even a Supra, you guys have actually, I don't know, does anybody have even a collection like you guys do? Supra's not even close, right?
We're very, very fortunate because our volume has allowed us to acquire more cars.
Yeah.
And this is all for our customer. Our customers, we have great customers. We're very, very appreciative of their loyalty. And to your point, when you come to Toyota Hollywood, we're going to have that car equipped. Every color, every equipment level, it's here. So
I love the XSE, right?
Yeah.
I was going to get the red one because I really love the Toyota red is such a beautiful red. And I was in love with the red, but then I go to Mike, I go, hey, show me the different colors. Because sometimes you have this oddball color that is awesome that nobody, the aquatic black.
Yeah.
That's the one I ended up getting.
Isn't it
aquatic black is just, it's multiple colors, man. That thing is awesome.
It's interesting how different it is to see the color in front of you versus looking in a book.
Right.
Very, very different.
Right.
Very different.
It was the red and the gray.
Yeah.
Were awesome. And and then I go, all right, Mike, show me all the colors just to make sure. And I go, whoa, what is that? And I don't think he remembered the name because it's called aquatic black. Aquatic marine black, I think it's called. There's some odd color, but it is awesome how it changes.
Thank you for your business, by the way.
Oh, come on.
We appreciate it. And Happy New Year.
My mother-in-law drives a Toyota. My wife and my daughter drive Acuras.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're a good customer.
You can't tell people. I can't be doing this for 10 years and tell them, hey, listen, I want you to buy or lease a vehicle here, but I'm driving something else.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. Then that means I don't believe in the product.
Yep.
That doesn't fly.
Thank you.
That's how it goes. But anyway, so last day today.
That's it.
Till midnight, by the way, right?
That's right.
They grind till midnight here, so make sure you come on out and see Steve, Herbie, and Tony, and all the great people out here at Toyota of Hollywood. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with more right here on the Big O Radio. Sorry about that. We had to had like a little meeting actually Wasn't even a bathroom break, actually, which I actually do need to go to the bathroom eventually. Anyway, so we will have a little fun here on the program. Thank you for waiting patiently on the show. We take you till about 3 o'clock. The upcoming hour is going to be a nice, exciting hour. We're going to have Christian Capel on from the University of he covers the University of Washington. That gentleman that was right in front of us with Wisconsin.
I was going to say, man, you got Badgers on the brain, huh?
Yeah, you got me with Wisconsin because he had his Wisconsin shirt on there. But Christian Capel works for The Athletic, and he covers Washington. He covers the Huskies. So we'll talk a little bit about their quarterback, and we'll get Jacob Eason insight from Christian Capels. Tommy Rocker is going to join us at 2:45 in the next hour. And Tommy, of course, is hosting us out there for the draft party. We're going to be broadcasting live all week long out there, and obviously for the draft. So we'll talk to Tommy, and I think they're going to have reservations now. I think he's going to add that because a lot of people may want to lock down their spot over there at Tommy Rocker's. I mean, seriously, I was thinking about this. If you go out to Vegas for the draft, right, and you're a draft guy and all that, okay, so you go where they are doing the drafting and all that stuff, and you stand there with everybody else. How long are you going to stand there? Is that really that entertaining that they're talking about all the teams? I think you're better off with us at Tommy Rockers because we'll be doing everything on a Dolphins ankle. And it'll be a Dolphins mood. And it'll be Dolphin people all around. And it'll be just a different vibe, man. I'm telling you, this is where you want to be because they're not going to be breaking it down Dolphin style from pick to pick. And this guy's off the board. This is how it affects Miami. They could have wanted this guy, that. They don't care about that. They're going to be talking about per pick, per team. Sure, Miami has several picks, so they'll get some extra pub. But you want a broadcast that is covering it all, Dolphins, okay? Every angle of Dolphins. That's the way you want to do it. So I encourage you to come on out to Tommy Rockers in Las Vegas on April 23, 24, and 25, right?
You got it.
Right? We're there through the 27th. We're there from the 20th through the 27th, by the way.
You know what? If you
want to go out early and party with us, we're out there from the 20th on. Actually, we may even go out earlier than that.
Yeah, that wrench you threw at me last night, that sounds cool. Yes, we should do that.
Yeah, I told Bill, maybe we go to Los Angeles for a couple days before we go to Las Vegas. Why? Because Y&T is playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go and the Eagles. We can go see the Eagles and Y&T on back-to-back nights, Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday hang out in L.A., and then Monday fly into Vegas. And you know what? The good thing is it's a nice short flight. We won't be all worn out like we will be.
What is that, like a Tampa? 45 minutes?
Yeah, it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke. I took the flight from Vegas to L.A. for the Kiss thing, and it was a joke. It was nothing. I'm telling you. It's awesome.
You know what's the other thing about just hanging out with us and not being with the rest of the group? You're not going to encounter any stinking Jet fans.
Yeah, exactly. That's very important. No Jet fans, no Bills fans, no Patriots fans. It's going to be all Dolphins at Tommy Rockers, baby. We're going to dominate and own that place. Several hundred fit, so, we can get you in there and get you locked down, and we'll be out there. We'll be out there till the last Dolphins pick every day. After the Dolphins make their last pick, I'm done. I'm out, and I'm enjoying Vegas because I am in Vegas, so I got to go. Plus, I got this idiot with me, which I know he's going to be like, hey, I want to do this. I want to do that. He's already telling me about In-N-Out Burger the second we land.
Oh, that's, as well as that's a first stop.
See what I mean?
And the last stop before we go to the airport.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. It's a very good point. Yes. A little In-N-Out Burger before. And, we're there for a week. The over and under is at least 4 times that week.
Oh, last time
Like every other day.
we did it 5 times.
Yeah. At least every other day because of the gout. I mean, I cannot do it every day. But
Was there 3 chips to Randy's Donuts?
oh, in Los Angeles, yes, there were several trips to Randy's Donuts. Yes.
It obviously helped you two being right down the street at the Forum.
Yeah.
But
Vegas.
We did make a couple special trips.
Yeah, but Vegas, I don't have a really killer donut spot. Although, I will say this, and they pissed me off, but the MGM Grand sells donuts. They used to sell donuts. And they're like, it's like the area where where they have all the drinks and snacks and all that, like a little snack store, whatever you want to call it. And they have some pastries, and they have these glazed donuts that are phenomenal, dude. And then they stopped selling them. Like the last time I went, the guy told me, "No, we don't have them anymore." I'm like, "Oh."
Can I tell you what that reminds me of specifically?
Disney?
Yeah, exactly. ESPN next door. We don't sell donuts anymore. Like, what?
They couldn't keep them. They would run out by 2, 3, 4 in the afternoon. If you didn't get any donuts by then, they were gone. So I don't know why they would eliminate something that's sold out. But then again, you're Disney. You print money, so you.
When you're Disney, you do whatever you want.
Yeah, you're Disney. You can do whatever you want, man.
We're not worried about the money we're losing not selling donuts. Not a concern.
Let's get Christian Capel on. It is 2:01. We are 2:02 now. We are late already for Christian Capel. Let's get him on, and so we'll talk a little bit about Jacob Eason.
I'm on it.
Let's see. NorCal says, Big O, talk to Brian Carroll about donut shops in Vegas. He lives there, and I'm sure he knows a spot for you. All right. That's a good one. That's right. We got to, that's right. I forget that we now have, a friend in Vegas that can give us some leadership. That is a strong call by you, NorCal. Because there's got to be like some killer donut place in Vegas, right? There has to be at least one joint in Vegas. Well, I think there's lots of joints in Vegas now because it is legal. So after you have the joint, then you want the donut, right? You know what I mean? It's called Munchies. They come right after. So you figure a place that has marijuana recreational, they would have some killer donut places, right? I mean, you got a bunch of stoners driving around. They got to stop somewhere. Those donut places would be pretty good. So you are on to something, NorCal. I'm with you there, dude. I think there are going to be some pretty killer donut places in Vegas, and maybe we'll find one.
I think that's a pretty safe assumption, man.
I like
in the
it.
Town of Vegas, there has to be a donut shop.
Has to be. All right, it is time now, right? Are we ready to go? Are we ready to talk a little NFL draft?
We have Christian Capel for us, sir,
on
the other side of the country.
I like it. Look at that gentleman walking away with his rugs from his new car. You know it. Love that, don't you? All right, we are out here at Toyota of Hollywood every day almost here on the program. We give you a little draft focus. We know the Miami Dolphins are starved for a quarterback since Dan Marino. So today's focus will be on Jacob Eason, the quarterback of the University of Washington. Christian Capel works for The Athletic. He covers the Huskies on an everyday basis. You can follow him on Twitter at Christian Capel. Let's bring him aboard. Mr. Capel, good afternoon or good morning in your case. How you doing, my man?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I am doing exceptional, my brother. We've been obviously covering the Dolphins. Personally, for me, I've been covering the Dolphins in this business for 30 years. And, yes, I got to cover Dan Marino. But unfortunately, Christian, since Dan Marino, this team has struggled to find another quarterback. They've had 18, 19, 20 quarterbacks since Dan. They're looking for one. Jacob Eason will be one of those guys that could be a target. So tell us a little bit about Jacob. How is he as a leader of a football team? How do guys gravitate to him, or do they not gravitate to him?
Yeah, I mean, at the University of Washington, I know he was extremely popular with his teammates. In terms of being a real vocal, outspoken, everybody follow me, let's go, kind of rally the huddle type of guy. I think that comes with experience. And even though he's been in college for 4 years, experience is kind of the one thing he lacks. He really only played 2 seasons of actual football. But, he came in and knew the 2018 season he was going to be redshirting and was their scout team quarterback for much of that year and took those responsibilities seriously and, never acted like he was Mr. Big Shot or anybody owed him anything or anything like that. And, I know earned the respect of his teammates pretty immediately. And he's a guy who, everybody on that offense, I think, has a lot of respect for and really liked playing with and would have loved to play with for another year. But, in terms of the leadership and really rallying guys on a down-to-down basis, I think that was something that they were working with him on. You saw it come out from time to time, and he scored their first touchdown in the Apple Cup, and his helmet popped off, and you could see on the TV replay he was screaming and flexing and was really fired up. And I think gave a halftime speech in a game against Arizona where they really weren't playing that well at all, and guys said that it was different because he usually doesn't pipe up like that, but really got guys fired up, and they came out and played one of their best offensive halves of football of the season. So, you certainly saw it show up from time to time. I do think that's something he'll get better at with more experience, though.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, Christian, when you start to look at his short career there in Washington, what was his signature moments in your eyes that you said, okay, this guy is a big-timer?
I think that the surest I ever was that he was definitely off to the NFL this year, which is what it turned out to be, was after their game at BYU. And BYU had an okay season. They weren't a great team this year, but they had just beaten USC, and it was Washington's first road game. And anyway, as it turned out, it was the most hostile road environment they faced. And I think Eason was 24 of 28. He had 3 touchdown passes, and all 3 of those touchdown passes were throws that, not every college quarterback could make. He fit one into a window to Aaron Fuller in the end zone that had to go past the ear hole of a linebacker between 2 defensive backs. And if you had anything other than a howitzer for an arm, he's not getting that ball there. And, he even completed a one-on-one slant to a receiver who caught it and then, covered the remaining distance for a touchdown where that ball gets there so fast. He's got a chance to gather it, turn his head, and kind of examine and gather himself, look at where he's at on the field and make a decision what to do with the ball. Whereas, a lot of guys that ball's getting there right as the defender's getting there, and then maybe it's an 8 or a 9 yard gain if he can hold on. But because Jacob Eason just puts it right on guys, they got a chance to catch and turn upfield and pick up even more yards after the catch. So I think that BYU game was really the one performance that encapsulated everything that he's so good at. And, he had a couple of other, really impressive performances this year too. And in a loss to Oregon, I thought he had, maybe one of his best games. He put some really tight throws into some tight windows in that game too. And, I think to me, that was what showed up the most, especially after, watching someone like Jake Browning, who is a little bit of a different quarterback, had a ton of success at Washington. Bringing in someone like Jacob Eason right after him, you could see the ways that they were different and some of the things that he brought with his arm that just a lot of guys at the college level don't have.
I can imagine, because when I watch it, there's no doubt that the talent is there. When you watch it on an everyday basis and deal with him practice and games and locker rooms and all of that, what convinces you he will be a successful NFL starter?
I think the jury's still out on that a little bit. I think he's a guy who's going to come into the league kind of raw, just like I said, because he hasn't played all that much football. For a guy who spent 4 seasons in college, he's only got really 2 seasons of tape, and one of those was as a true freshman, and obviously he's a lot different now than he was then. But I just think the physical tools, the athleticism, look, he's not the most flexible guy. He's not the most agile guy against the pass rush, but if he gets out in the open, he can move a little bit better than people might assume. But I just think I go back to the arm strength and the precision when he has time. He's going to have to get better against pressure. He's going to have to get better at reading blitzes and stepping up in the pocket instead of spinning out. That was something they really worked with him on. But man, when they gave him a clean pocket and he had a chance to go through his progression without guys in his face every single play, it was very rare that he missed a guy who was running wide open other than the occasional deep shot where he's throwing it 40, 45 yards downfield. So I just think that the arm strength and the precision when he's got time were clearly at an elite level.
And Christian, and listen, a lot of quarterbacks, when you give them time, they can be effective. But one of the knocks on him is that when he has pressure on him, he doesn't respond well to pressure. Is that what you've seen from Jacob Eason?
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. There was a play in their loss to Utah where they're down 2 touchdowns late and they were driving to score and try to give themselves a chance, which they eventually did. But it was first and goal, and the left tackle got beat by a great pass rusher, Bradley and I. But if Eason had felt that and stepped up, could have bought himself at least a couple more seconds to try to make a throw, but he didn't feel it, and it was just a sack, and it kind of blew up the series, made him call another timeout and took more time off the clock and really kind of eliminated their chance of winning that game. And you saw a couple plays like that where, maybe if pressure came from the edge, he would spin, he would turn his back to the play rather than step up in the pocket and keep his eyes downfield. And bad things always seemed to happen when he did that. I think his completion percentage against pressure this year was, I think, just under 40, which you compare that to some of the other quarterbacks in not only this draft class, but guys who were first or second round picks in the last 3 or 4 drafts. And he's kind of at the bottom of that list in that statistic. So, yeah, that's absolutely something that, I'm sure every scout, every evaluator who watches him, that's going to be at the top of the list if they're putting together, what they think his weaknesses are, what they think his biggest areas of needed improvement are. You didn't really see him make a ton of progress in that area this year. And I think that's another area that, you're only going to improve that by taking more reps and seeing it more and having more experience. And I think that's what makes him such an intriguing prospect is how good he is at the things he's good at, given how little he played in college. But you can see some things that are going to have to improve with time as well.
When you watch him, Christian, okay, when it comes to pressure, is it more that he goes scatterbrain, or is it that he just is not reacting quickly enough and not reading and reacting quickly, or does he get flustered? That's what I mean by scatterbrain. Does that situation get him flustered and he doesn't know what to do and he, makes mistakes and things like that? Which one is he under pressure?
I think there's times when he was flustered. I mean, I would not say he's a guy who shies away from contact necessarily. I mean, when there's a throw to be made and he sees, okay, I'm looking for this and I'm going to have this and I'm going to get popped if I throw this ball, he'll stand in there and throw the ball. I mean, he's not afraid of standing in there and taking a hit. I think it's an instinctual thing. And, he played in a wide open spread, pass heavy offense in high school and, could kind of get away with scrambling out of the pocket and throwing off his back foot and making miracles happen because he was, just a tremendous athlete with a huge arm. And, I just think that's something that never really got cleaned up. It's not his instinct yet to feel pressure from the edges and step up in the pocket rather than bailing out. And that's something that Washington struggled with their last quarterback as well, who was a little bit more mobile and was maybe a little more capable of making those plays when he left the pocket. But, I don't know that I'd call it scatterbrain necessarily. I think it's just a matter of instinct and muscle memory and kind of driving home that, hey, your highest percentage chance when you feel pressure and when maybe you feel like you should bail is to do the opposite and step up and at least give yourself an opportunity to see a throw that you can make rather than bailing out and having the best case be you throw it away if you don't get sacked.
Should he have come back to school in your eyes? Does he need another year? Because you started this interview talking about how he doesn't have, a ton of experience. How much more do you think he needed to stay in school for another year?
Well, it depends on what his priority is. There are absolutely things, and the biggest one is what we just talked about, is performance against pressure and getting through your progression when that pocket's a little bit muddy, that he absolutely could have improved with another year in college. But if he's drafted by a team that maybe doesn't necessarily expect him to be their starting quarterback right away, maybe he goes a little bit later in the draft, maybe not, but you could argue that development might be more likely to happen at a more rapid pace with an NFL team. learning under a starting NFL quarterback or from an NFL staff, maybe he'd get better at that faster than if he spent another year in college. I mean, it's hard to say. Washington's kind of in a weird place right now. They don't have an offensive coordinator. They fired their previous offensive coordinator and haven't made a hire yet. So it's not certain what exactly Jacob Eason would have been coming back to system wise, and I think that's another consideration too. But if I were him, if your priority is to be a first round pick, he can be a first round pick this year. If your priority is to go into the NFL as polished of a passer as possible, then yeah, you can make an argument that he should have come back for another year. But I think that from a development standpoint, he's just as likely to make that growth while getting paid a whole lot of money next year rather than doing it at the college level. I can understand why he went out. I think Washington's coaching staff certainly had a case to present to him for why he'd be better off coming back in terms of how it would affect a potential second contract and his readiness coming into the league and those sorts of things. But all things considered, I think he was smart to go pro this year.
Follow him on Twitter at Christian Capel. You can catch his work at The Athletic as he covers the Huskies on a daily basis. We're talking about Jacob Eason today, our NFL draft focus for the Miami Dolphins as they get ready for the draft in a couple of months. Now, going on Jacob, here's the other thing that I hear about him, Christian, because I've seen him a couple times, but I don't watch him as much as you do on every down basis. He's pretty accurate on the short and intermediate stuff. But then when it comes to the deep ball, he's not very accurate when it comes to that. That's kind of odd that he has the touch and the accuracy and the short stuff, but then when it comes to distance, he kind of falls short there. So what is it? What is it about that trait that he lacks the deep ball accuracy, but yet he's pretty damn good in the short and intermediate stuff? He knows how to keep everybody in stride and leads them and all of that stuff on the underneath stuff.
Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't seen the stats on his completion percentage as you progress downfield, so I'm not sure exactly where he is there. But I know that some people questioned that maybe he should have gotten more reps in the spring and the fall. They pretty much split reps between him and Jake Haener, and it was a true quarterback competition for the starting job there all the way up until the week before their season opener. I think some people have questioned that and said, well, this is really his first year learning Washington's offense. Obviously, he had a redshirt year, but he was mostly working on scout team stuff and trying to learn what the opponents were doing to help the team out each week. So maybe they should have put more reps on him in the spring and in the fall, and maybe that would have led to more chemistry between him and Washington's receivers. UW's receivers this year were kind of hit and miss. There were a lot of drop passes. There wasn't a ton of separation. They kind of lacked high-level playmakers at the top of their depth chart at the receiver position. They've recruited it better recently, so they got some younger guys coming in who I think are going to be the type of player you'd want catching passes from Jacob Eason. But that position did not excel this season. So, yeah, I think that's a factor too. And, some of it is I'm sure comes back to the chemistry and experience and those sorts of things. We did see him make some pretty impressive deep throws this year, but you're right. I mean, there were a couple times when it seemed like a guy might have had a step, but he missed him by 2 or 3 yards, usually overthrowing him. You didn't see him underthrow a lot of those. So I think that part of it's encouraging at least. But, yeah, I mean, it's one more thing that I think scouts are going to want to see. And, going into the combine and workouts and everything, he'll have every opportunity to prove he can make those throws.
Would you call him a clutch player? Because in his last 4 games, he had 3 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, 59% completion percentage versus Pac-12 competition, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Is this a guy that will play big in big moments against bigger teams?
It's hard to say. I mean, all that we've seen of him in close games this year was really games where Washington came up short. It was kind of a weird season for them that way. Most of their wins were by a significant margin, and then their losses were all by 10 points or fewer. Now, in those games, I mean, he did, against Utah, they were down 2 scores, and he led them on a drive to at least cut it down to a touchdown and give them a chance if they got an onside kick, which they didn't, and they lost the game. And, against Oregon, they're down 4 with a last-minute drive to try to win the game, and there's a fourth down play that's real bang bang. I think a lot of Husky fans thought it should have been pass interference, would have prolonged the game, but it was an incomplete pass, and Oregon wound up winning that game. So it's a small sample size in terms of, hey, here's the ball, here's 2 minutes, go win the game. There were only a couple of those, and obviously some mixed results there. But I think he has the ability to be that guy. I mean, he plays pretty loose, plays pretty free. He's got a lot of confidence in his arm. But again, it goes back to experience and sample size, and there just isn't a ton of either of those things with Jacob Eason right now.
Is he the best quarterback in the state?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. You mean between Washington and Washington State?
Yeah, Anthony Gordon's gotten a lot of love, so I'm just wondering, since it's in your state, I don't know how much of Washington State football you're watching, but since it's there, it's in your backyard. Is he better than Anthony Gordon?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm an NFL team, looking and trying to project a couple of years out, I think just the physical tools alone, I'm going to be more enamored with Jacob Eason than Anthony Gordon. Now, look, Anthony Gordon came on and kind of came out of nowhere and had an outstanding season as a fifth-year senior who was a former walk-on and a JUCO guy and all those things, and maybe he's earned himself a look too, but I would certainly gravitate toward Eason.
All right, so I'll ask you this, and we'll follow it up with this, Christian. What quarterbacks in college football going into the NFL this year, okay, let's leave Lawrence out, this year, in your eyes, are better quarterbacks than Jacob Eason?
Ooh.
Burrow
I think
and Tua?
I think certainly Joe Burrow and Tua. Gosh.
Is he the third guy? Is he the third guy in your eyes? Nate Stanley, Jordan Love, any of these other guys? Go ahead.
I would take Eason ahead of Jordan Love. I would put him, just in terms of unanswered questions and those sorts of things, and can he be the guy right away? I'd put him about even with Justin Herbert. I'd maybe give Justin Herbert a slight edge just because of his athleticism and open field speed. I mean, he's shown he can run and move a little bit. Obviously, he's not going to come into the NFL as a guy you're designing a bunch of run plays for, but right. I think he's got a little bit more ability to move the pocket and get some things done with his legs if he needs to. So I'd maybe put Herbert just ahead of him right now as well.
How about Fromm, the guy that replaced him in Georgia?
Yeah, that's tough. Obviously he didn't have the season that he would have liked, but he's put a lot of good stuff on tape, and it's so tough. If we could watch Jacob Eason play one more season of college football, I think a lot of these questions would be answered one way or the other. Maybe ultimately that helps his stock. I don't know, but it's tough to compare him to some of these guys who have, legit 3 full seasons deep of tape. Even someone like Fromm, who maybe played his best ball a little bit earlier in his career. You can still see the potential there. So, yeah, I'd probably put him and Fromm on about an equal plane right now.
Boy, Christian, what it sounds to me like is you don't envy the job of an NFL general manager and the decision on those quarterbacks because there isn't enough information. You might envy their bank accounts, but not the job of trying to decipher these cats, right? Is that what it is?
Oh yeah, you always envy the bank account, and that's why you don't feel too bad for him having to pick this apart here.
Amen to that. Follow him on Twitter at Christian Capo. Christian, thank you for taking some time, my brother. We really appreciate it. Dolphin fans, I know, definitely appreciate it. Have a fantastic 2020, my friend. Happy New Year.
All right, thank you. You as well.
You got it. There you go. Christian Capo from The Athletic. He covers Jacob Eason. It wasn't a convincing interview either, right? I mean, it was like, hey, I wish he would have stayed a year. There's some questions. And it's really odd because you watch the kid and he'll throw things in stride underneath. But then he has to go deep and he's not really as accurate. And then when you pressure him, he just does not. Now, he has ability that just is oozing. Size, arm, he's not a great athlete.
He looks the part. He looks like an NFL quarterback.
He's on the all-runway team. There is no doubt in your mind that it's like Justin Herbert. Like, he doesn't lack anything the good Lord blessed him with all the ability he needs to play at the next level. Now, can mentally he put it all together so the physical tools match the mental tools? That's the problem. That's the problem with Justin Herbert. That's the problem now with Jacob Fromm. These are all really talented guys, but again, they're not the quarterbacks that you need as a finished product to move on to the next level.
Quarterback lacking the plus 20, 30-yard pass. Is it like Alex Smith? Can only throw the intermediate and underneath?
No,
because that was Alex.
No, Alex was accurate. What Alex wasn't is that he had no guts. He had no chops. He wouldn't go.
Oh, he wouldn't go for it.
Yeah,
I got you.
He was afraid. And then 2 years ago when Reed got him, he had his best season ever because Reed got him to be more aggressive than ever, and he was also headed to free agency. And he knew that if he didn't change his conservative ways, and it helped him out because he got
Washington paid him fat, man.
Right, they gave him a $75 million deal. So that is where that helped him out. But it was more – Alex doesn't have a great arm either. He has a pop gun arm, but he doesn't have that –
He just has no balls. He doesn't go deep.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things that he has lacked that, and that's been a problem for him in a big-time way. This kid, it's not that he lacks it. It's just he's not great with the deep ball. And he struggles with the deep ball. And he struggles with pressure, which is really disturbing because you want a guy that can handle the pressure. Because if he can't handle this pressure, then how do you expect him to handle NFL pressure? That's why I asked him specifically, is it more about not knowledge and not knowing what happens in a short amount of time, or is it that he gets flustered? And that he knows what has to do, but the problem is he gets flustered and it blinds him. There are people that panic, and in their panic, they lose what they have to do. They forget what they have to do. They don't know how to achieve their job because they cannot overcome the panic at the moment. They're worried about the panic so much that they lose out on their responsibilities. And you cannot have a quarterback like that because half the time they will not pick up the blitz. Half the time you're going to get pressured. Half the time you will get pushed around in that pocket. Half the time there's a guy that's about to put a helmet right in the center of your chest as you're about to throw. And you know the hit is coming, but you need to take that hit and deliver the football. That's something you cannot avoid. It's part of the game. And you have to stare down that rusher, by the way, with peripheral vision. You can't even be looking at him directly. You got to be keeping your eyes downfield and feeling the rush and feeling everything caving in. And while everything's caving in and while you're about to get pummeled, you need to deliver the football on target. And if you can't do that.
The way you described it, you got a 260-pound linebacker, and you're supposed to put him just in your peripheral and keep your eye on this receipt
the entire time. And you know you're going to get hit.
You're going to get destroyed.
You know you're going to get hit, but you got to hold on to the ball until that break happens where you can throw the ball, because if you throw it ahead of time, it's an incomplete, an interception, whatever. Okay? But you know it, and that's part of the game. But if you panic because you're too busy getting rid of the football so you can cover yourself, guess what's going to happen? That ball is going to end up Jameis Winston style. Turnover. Somewhere. It's going to end up Winston. Right?
We should start calling it. You got Winston.
Yeah. Yep. You threw a Winston, not an interception. You threw a Winston. Okay?
It kind of sounds like this guy would be an interesting person to grab and just know it may take a year or two.
And it may not, and it may never happen.
That is obviously a possibility, but
because if you're a panic guy, you're going to panic even more in the NFL, bro.
Yeah, oh.
Come on.
That stuff is bigger and faster.
Come on, man. Give me a break. Chase Young's a badass now. In 4 more years, when his body's completely developed and his mind, oh, my Lord. He's going to be a terror. You think he's bad now? He's going to be Mr. Bad in 4 years. Why? Because he knows everything. His body's completely developed, and now he has a wife, 4 girlfriends, 4 houses, and 10 cars. Trust me, he needs the money. He's playing for that check. They're like junkyard dogs in the NFL because they got a lot of bills. They're like you and I. You know how we're our own junkyard dogs every day in life. We got our homes, we got our wives, we got our kids, we got our bills, we got our mortgages, we got our insurance. We got all those things we got to pay, right? And we got to hustle, man. We got to hustle with 2, 3 jobs. We got to work 40, 70, 80 hours a week. We do whatever we have to do as fathers and husbands to survive, correct? Think about it. Same thing for them. Same thing. Except your house and my house doesn't cost us nearly as much as the ones they have. And they've got 4 of them. You know what I mean? And then I've got a Camry. They've got 10 Camrys. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole different ballgame. So they need a lot more money. So they play with a lot more desperation. Grown-ass men that need paychecks, trust me, those those are the people you don't want to deal with because it's impressive. 786-322-1105. That's 786-322-1105 if you want to get in on the program as we take you, of course, till about 3 o'clock. And we are out here at Toyota of Hollywood, and today is their final day for 2019. They're treating it like the final day of the year because they are giving you an opportunity to take advantage of all the 2019 incentives, which they're all gone after today. And you heard Tony Stampone earlier. They hit their quota already, which I'm not shocked with this place. But my point is, okay, they want to roll out as many cars. And if there's any 2019s left, which they are a few, they're going to make you some great deals. So please come on down. They're open till midnight. Okay, 1841 North State Road 7, right here in Hollywood, just a couple blocks south of that big, giant, beautiful guitar here in Hollywood. Toyota of Hollywood. Tell them that Big O sent you, and they are going to take care of you here at Toyota of Hollywood.